In the Western business, you are not allowed or to be a human unless there is a certain level of trust and maybe understanding built up. But here you are assumed to be a human from day one. Wow, that really makes a change. I really love it. But this has a flip side, of course, which is the delivery, right?
I'm here with Ekaterina, originally from Russia, but lived abroad for a long time. And moved to Malaysia. Well, your story is interesting. 10 years ago and recently 2 years ago. And she's a doctor in the economics field and very active in the social impact field. She's worked with companies such as McKinsey and Microsoft. And now she's focused on promoting Malaysia, and she does her content interviewing Malaysians and foreigners about their experience in Malaysia. And today the tables turn, and I'm gonna grill her about her experience in Malaysia.
Girl, you're really deep.
Oh, we will. So tell us about your story. How did you came to Malaysia? And the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to be here, and thank you for having me, because I find that every time there is opportunity to talk more about Malaysia and to really show how beneficial this country is for the worldwide community and for people of all walks of life, I always say yes, and I'm willing to do so, because we're so good here, right?
Yeah.
It feels so good to be in Malaysia, and I wish more people knew about that. So yeah, that's true. I first came here in 2016 as a tourist, just for travel purposes. I've been to Kuala Lumpur at that time, and I couldn't really savor and understand Malaysia in full. But then 2 years ago, I moved here and I kind of settled down here for now. I love traveling around Malaysia, and I kind of self-proclaimed myself as a, soft power ambassador and advocate for Malaysia, because my son actually goes to the Malaysian school, to the government school here. So I have the full experience of Malaysia now. And I started to understand how Malaysians live, Malay, Chinese, Indian, how they coexist together. I believe it's a beautiful example that the whole world should learn from. Like, for real, girl, this is a benchmark of how to coexist when you are completely different races, faiths, looks, but you still kind of
culture, food, right? Yeah, and especially I think for us, right, is our upbringing with a very monoculture places. I mean, in Poland, everyone is the same.
Yeah.
The same culture, the same religion, the same language, the same everything. So for me, like coming to Malaysia was like, whoa. And my parents till today, although they visited so many times, they always, when they talk to their friends about Malaysia, one of the first things among like smiley culture here, they always mention like, it's crazy how tolerant and open and diverse and harmonious it is here.
Exactly.
You won't get it until you're here and see it firsthand.
I think it's a very good word, the harmony. I mean, it sounds a little bit like a motto, like, a little bit pathetic, unless you get here and you realize that this is like a reality they live. And like, for real,
it's not just a jargon or buzzword that you drop and slap as a tagline, right? It's truly the expression of how Malaysia is. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you, because I think we have a similar mission in Malaysia on the personal level, and our heart was definitely stolen by Malaysia. And I've seen your content a lot and I love it. And you always talk to people to hear different perspectives, and you created a platform to really spread awareness about Malaysia. And that's actually maybe the first thing that I wanted to ask you, because Malaysia is not as well known as Thailand or Indonesia because of Bali, probably. Why do you think is that, and what needs to change to improve that situation? If we even want, make Malaysia so popular that people flood here, right? Because I know there is also like a lot of discussions that, more people coming in, they change the real nature of the place, right?
I think it's a very good and complex question, to be honest with you, because
I'm asking a PhD doctor, so we're gonna get a very good answer.
Well, okay, let's deep dive a little bit more into the theory. So from the marketing perspective, it's all about understanding your customers. So from the perspective of the tourists, we need to understand what is the pain that this or that offer helps the customer close. So if we talk about Thailand and Bali, these are two extremely extremely interesting examples that depict my theory. Thailand really caters the market of people who want to have fun, right? Thailand is not only about parties on the beach and like free flow alcohol, but many Westerners know Thailand exactly for this. Like if you want to have a beach party, this is Thailand.
Yeah.
Like with a coconut, you know, you've never been exposed to a beach and a coconut, Thailand is like the place to go.
And very affordable.
Very affordable alcohol and party, you know, and food, of course, and everything else. I'm sorry to say this, but this is how the Western world sees Thailand.
Yeah.
Of course, there's much more than that in this culture, but that's like the marketing offer in a nutshell. Then you have Bali. And by the way, Bali and Indonesia like are two different brands, you know, two different products. People that go many times to Bali, sometimes they have never traveled to Jakarta or Sumatra or whatever.
Correct.
They just go for Bali. Bali is actually catering the demand for a spiritual experience.
And I think the movie helped, right? Eat, Pray, Love.
For sure. Everything which is cinematography, and more recently the digital media, this is the most powerful tools to contribute to the country branding and nation branding. And so the brand of Bali is like a spiritual retreat where you connect to the divine, which, by the way, is not so much anymore the truth, because there are like people of all walks of life there.
True.
And sometimes if you want to connect to the nature, you have to go through a traffic jam with hundreds, thousands of people in the street, like you're jammed.
Pretty contrasting image, right?
It feels like you're back into the hustle and bustle of the city, you know? So, but coming back to the topic, what is the demand that Malaysia is meeting? And I think that from the marketing perspective, this is yet to be defined. So in marketing, there is this concept of nation branding when we know in a nutshell what is the value proposition of the country. And I think we are a little bit unsure yet, and
how to position,
and yet figuring it out from the marketing perspective, because we have this slogan, Malaysia Truly Asia, but I'm sorry to say this, I mean, maybe for the Asians for sure it's clear what it means, truly Asia. For us, the Imad Saleh, like truly Asia, okay, but what Asia is per se, right? Like we don't really, for us, Asia,
even if it screams of melting pot, it's still like, what kind of elements of it does it touch?
Exactly. What do they have in their rojak? Because we don't know what rojak is. I mean, for me, as a girl who, by the way, I traveled a lot, but mostly in the West. So when you are in the Western bubble, you feel that Asia is like China, which is like, it is very biased. And it's like, but this is the human nature. We tend to really simplify, put the tags. So truly Asia doesn't really ring any bell for people who are not familiar with Asia. So then, to answer the first part of your question, to make more people come, we need to be really vocal and clear about what the value proposition is. We can talk about this forever.
And what could it be, in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, because I've traveled a lot across Malaysia, I've been to 11 states out of 13. I'm still missing on Kelantan and Sarawak. I hope to come there soon. But I've seen pretty much a lot. And I would say that the nature and the hospitality are for sure the main components in the value proposition of Malaysia. So what I mean by that is getting out of the cities and really going to kampung and meeting people who are hospitable in a very genuine way. You know, they don't give you a fake smile. Yeah, we want the original smile. And when you go to Malaysian villages and like, you know, you go outside of the city, you get like the real hospitality, which is so rare to find. Malaysia is very safe for travel. I've been traveling as a solo female, like everywhere. I've never had any fear or concern. Well, being in the city center is different, right? So because in the city you have people of all walks of life. But when you generally go to the village and meet like local Malaysian people, this is super safe. This is a very good advantage that nobody speaks of, because you know, there are some other Asian countries where I wouldn't get the courage to travel all alone. So I think this is like really a family type of vacay. And also for people who are interested, of course, into deep diving, like getting an experience of different cultures simultaneously. If you want to get the Chinese experience, it's so easy to get one. Indian also. But you don't get like bored in a way, because every day there's something new to learn. And the second part of your question was about, do we even want all of them to come? I think that's a very good question. And marketing has an answer, and economics has an answer to that as well, because around 20% of Malaysian economy accounts on tourism. So for sure, it's not like the central,
the main source
of income, but it is a very important one. And for sure, it has such a big potential to grow. So I think the answer from the economic perspective is obvious. It's a yes, because we want the well-being and for this country. At the same time, we need to set the clear filters of the guests.
I do that too all the time.
Like we Malaysians and people living in Malaysia, we should be clear about the filters of who are more welcome than others, right? Because we are at a certain level of culture and certain level of infrastructure standards, behavior. So we should be vocal about that as well. And especially that should be communicated in the marketing campaign for the country.
There is always that fear. I don't want my Malaysia, our Malaysia to change. But then you obviously want it to grow, and you want people to live better lives, and also for more people to experience what we experience, and we are privileged to. So 100% agree. You mentioned you've been to almost all nagaris here, right? Can you pick your favorite?
Oh, that's a tough one. Well, obviously I would say Pahang. Pahang first. I love Pahang because it's the biggest state on the peninsula of Malaysia. Has so much to offer. In Pahang ada semua, ada gunung, ada laut. I mean, you have rivers, mountains, islands. I mean, you name it. The nature is beautiful. And I think this is something that Westerners are looking so much for. Like, our first choice, of course, would be a beach. I mean, for some more than for others, but for people coming from huge cities, of course, we want the beach. At the same time, the jungle experience, it's equal to none, because in the jungle, you can go and actually meet the Aborigines, the Orang Asli. And I was like, wow, I was so impressed, because they taught me how to get the fire from the wood sticks and how to hunt for squirrels from a blowpipe. And I also felt more than that. I felt like a connection, because the difference between the European mindset and the Muslim mindset, the Muslims, they are connected to the Muslim view of the creation of the world, while Europeans are connected a lot to the evolution theory, right? So when you learn how to get the fire from the sticks, you feel like, wow, my ancestors survived like that. You know, you feel like almost the connection, like to your roots. And it's an amazing experience to find in the jungle of Malaysia. And Taman Negara is the oldest jungle in the world, and we should be really proud of that. So I would say Pahang, both the Kuantan beach side, Kuantan Cherating, and also, of course, the Taman Negara. And I've been to Ulu Tembeling recently for a jungle trip with their Royal Highnesses, the Sultan and Tengku Puan of Pahang, and the Crown Prince of Pahang. So the Crown Prince of Pahang is the royal patron for Malayan tigers. There's not more than 150 Malayan tigers left in the wild. And, I was so impressed to learn that basically the royal family, they banned the construction of the road into the jungle of Pahang.
To protect.
Yes, to protect the tigers. So when you are as a consumer, like, why there is no direct road? But then you see the opposite. Well, that's because they make an effort to really preserve the nature.
Yeah, amazing to hear.
The Sultan Abdullah Royal Tiger Reserve was created a while ago with the support and the initiative of the royal family of Pahang. And they have managed to attract support from international funds from UAE. So that's amazing how the whole world actually comes together to preserve Malaysian nature. To me, again, that's the sign, coming back to the topic, what is so impressive and standing out about Malaysia. For me, definitely it's nature.
Yeah, and the uniqueness and the variety of that too, right? And I think, the world is getting interested in more diverse type of activities as well, because as you said, I think when we were growing up, it was always just the beach. Holiday meant the beach destination, right? The bluer the water, the better. But now I think people want to just disconnect from the world and the jungle and the waterfalls. I think people start getting into and appreciate it more than before.
But Malaysia, in terms of the bluest water and the whitest sand, Malaysia has an amazing...
Juga ada.
Juga ada, yes, ada juga. You've got Tioman, you've got Redang,
Right.
and like, I'm not sure if I want to even voice it out, Kapas. It's like so beautiful. I mean, the snorkeling.
She steals the hidden gems,
yes.
guys.
Please don't make this video viral, all right?
Please don't.
We have like the privilege of living here because people, they pay tens of thousands of dollars and euros to get to experience this. And like people in Kapas, I tell you, they are like, oh, no need to hire a boat and go snorkeling. It just takes so much energy. You can just wear your goggles and snorkel out there. All the fishes are just... Can you imagine, to the point that you don't even have to go into the open waters
to already see a lot of marine life.
This is exceptional. You can't find this around the world. Really, it is the jewel of Malaysia. Everything that is related to the beach vacation.
Let's get into a little bit more your experience about Malaysia. As we promised, the table will turn. So let's grill you about your experience here. When you came here for the first time, that was in many years back, right? What did you think Malaysia will be, and how did it surprise you?
To be honest with you, I had no idea of what Malaysia was.
No expectations.
The first time I ever heard about Malaysia was when I was already in year 3 of my economic degree studies. I had this book about the Asian Tigers. And I was like, oh, okay, Asian Tigers means Singapore, Malaysia, all right. Because it's cool, we don't really have the Asian history. Malaysia is just, I mean, we don't have any narrative about Malaysia. So when I came here first time, I had no expectations at all. I was like blank. I wasn't quite impressed, to be honest with you, because I ended up in Kuala Lumpur, and like, I'm a city girl. I was born and raised in Moscow, 12 million people, the high-rise buildings and the museums and the culture and the traffic jams. I mean, all of it. And Kuala Lumpur is pretty much on the same short
cosmopolitan city.
Yes. And I was like, okay, another high-rise building. Oh, and they are Asian Tigers after all. They should have the skyscrapers, So I really had this kind of a formula, and then I went to Langkawi. I guess this is like kind of a journey for the first timers.
The usual route.
Yeah, like Kuala Lumpur and Langkawi. In Langkawi, you get like the beach vacay, which is similar more or less to the beach vacation you get in Thailand or in Bali. And I was like, okay, that's just another Asian country. But later on in 2023, when I moved here, this is when I started to discover that I was wrong, because it takes really to go out from Kuala Lumpur to discover what Malaysia really is. And I mean, you don't have to go so far. Even you go to Malacca, that's a one-day trip, and it's just mind-blowing because you get the melting pot of all the cultures, and then you start to understand what Malaysia is all about.
What are your 3 favorite things about Malaysia and 3 least favorite things about Malaysia?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think I'll have a difficult time with the least favorites.
I know. I think I would too.
Okay, you make me think. So for the most favorite things, definitely number 1 is culture, because the culture is very tolerant. That was a culture shock for me in a way when I was late for a business meeting for 15 minutes because I took the wrong turn. And sometimes on the paved highways, I mean, it's
gonna add up waste. It's gonna add up 30 minutes.
Yeah, so I had no choice, and I was sure that my meeting would be canceled because in the Western culture, it's unacceptable to be so late, especially it was a business meeting in a bank. But when I arrived, like the vice president told me like, things happen, and I was like, are you serious? Things happen. I was really shocked by the level of tolerance. And then the driving,
understanding.
When you drive, the people are so forgiving. Like, they don't bother to know if you sneaked in on purpose or you're just being silly and you're following the navigator that never takes you
to the right place or to the right route.
It's quite difficult to read it when you are a beginner. So they would always let you in. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, oh, thank you so much. But, it's a cultural norm. And I start to change as well. So I learned the art, or I'm still learning the art of sabar, of patience here and acceptance in Malaysia. Because for the Westerners, it seems counter-natural. For us, being patient means not being pushy enough. Means you are in lack of something.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So it's not seen as a winning or leadership strategy to be patient. And so I was really struggling with that one. But once I let the patience enter into my life, wow, I felt so relieved in a way. So this is definitely number one. And what is beautiful about this concept of sabar is that all races, they share it, not only Muslims, but also the non-Muslims of Malaysia. So they're kind of tolerant and accepting to each other.
Yeah, and I think that human understanding element, right? That even if it's a business thing, they still look at you as a human being, and things can happen exactly as the vice president mentioned, right? Which, yeah, in the Western world, it's like, well, that's your problem.
Yeah, yes, I like how you're putting it, that in the Western business, you are not allowed or to be a human unless there is a certain level of trust and maybe understanding built up. But here you are assumed to be a human from day one. Wow, that really makes a change. Yeah. I really love it. But this has a flip side, of course, which is the delivery, right? Maybe if we talk about the least favorite things, which I don't have many, but in terms of delivery and the speed of delivery, and sometimes the quality of delivery, sometimes it's behind because of the understanding and patience and the slower pace.
Less pressure
in general in the business culture. And there is like a clash of cultures happening, because I would hear Westerners often saying, oh, Malaysians only work 4 days a week. Like, come on. Yeah, right. Because Friday Malaysians go to pray. For the Jumat prayer, and then
after it relaxes,
the day wraps up, right? And so many non-Muslims or non-Malaysians who don't understand this, they would get impatient, like, this is difficult for the business, right? Because we have the operational costs and etc., etc., or like the raya time. Come on, nobody's working during Ramadan. And then the open houses, like the business stops for 2 months. Wow, I was shocked when I discovered this. But now I understand the flip side of it, and I really appreciate it. So this is number one. Number two, the most favorite thing is definitely that it's a very livable country. I don't feel the necessity to travel out. Like last year, I had to travel for work to Thailand and Bali, and I had a couple of nights stay. And after the first night, I was like, okay, we're done. It's time to go.
Go home.
Yeah, I mean, I have all of that in Malaysia, I don't have to fly outside. Of course, there are many other cultures and countries worth visiting. At the same time, when you're in Malaysia, I mean, it's a big country. And because it has different states, you never get bored. You always have a place to travel. And the third thing I love so much about Malaysia is their peaceful agenda and berbelang kaum. Because in general, I feel like, which is like funny for the Europeans, right? Because Islam is seen in Europe like intolerant and very demanding. However, interestingly enough, here in Malaysia, Islam is tolerant and the culture is tolerant. You feel included. Like, people are just generally like, okay, whoever you are, come in, because of the colonial past as well. I think Malaysians got used to finding an approach to people of all walks of life.
True.
So no matter who you are welcomed
peacefully. Yeah.
And that really makes a difference.
Interesting point that not many people mention, I feel, when I interact, but yeah, it's a beautiful and very valid point too.
I'm sure you wanted me to talk about food.
Yeah, well, I'll get there. I'm surprised it's not in the top 3, but I think your points are very well thought through and very important. But we'll get to food shortly, but you're not going to escape that least favorite things.
Of course. Okay. Maybe generally because I'm more into entrepreneurship. So Go Malaysia, the nation branding platform, is my main source of business revenue, and all my hopes and desires are related to Go Malaysia platform. So of course, sometimes the sabar is abandoning me, and I get impatient when the processes are taking longer time than what I would have anticipated. But I just I learned to come in terms with that. I think it's also kind of a test, like you advocate that you love Malaysia, like show us. Learn to become more patient with the timeline. And I find it very difficult to find anything else. I think what I would like to see, it's not like I dislike it, but I would like to improve this and even strengthen it more. I'd like to see Malaysian culture being elevated more and more with time, because of the globalization, I feel like we are very much influenced by the West, by China, you know, by all the big and powerful neighbors. I believe that Malaysia should hold on to its authenticity, like foster its authenticity, invest more into the museums, invest more into arts and crafts, into libraries, into teaching people how to do arts and crafts, you know, so that there is a continuity. Because especially in the big cities, it's so easy to get disconnected from the roots.
Right, because of their chase for convenience, right? But I think the problem with like losing the heritage happens across the globe.
Exactly.
Because it's also the pragmatic choice, right? And I think with the younger generation being so digitally connected, and it's all about the convenience and pragmatism.
Yes.
It's becoming a problem everywhere. But that's also a very good point. So what about the food?
What about the food? By the way, about the social media, I see my son and all his friends being online all the time. And that's one of the reasons why I keep on doing social media content about things which I think reflect those values. Okay, you're watching TikTok, but then there is my chick, Go Malaysia Kate, and she wants to talk to you about the heritage. Of course, you can swipe me up.
Don't.
But I try to ensure that at least out there in social media, we have that content which is fostering the right values.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to get viral when you talk about the heritage of museums or books, because people want the makan videos.
Or like very quick entertainment and without brain power, right? Because when you do learn about the history or heritage, you kind of need to focus, right?
Exactly.
And really immerse yourself in it. And the social media, I think, trains us to be very on that surface and looking for that dopamine, right?
Yes.
So entertain me. Ooh, education, next.
Yeah, that's why I generally believe the government should be more aware of the necessity to invest into this kind of content, and that the virality is not the only KPI they should look at, because at least this content should be out there. It's like a library, you know. People are like tend to be lazy to go to library, but you cannot delete libraries from the map of the city, because without library there is no education and no future. Same for the content that we are creating. So yeah, that's why I've been escaping the makan topic, because I feel like it's a very easy hook for anything. But we as digital creators, we have to find the easy hooks to survive, because that's how we make our living. So of course, I will talk about makan.
Well, but just to add, I think the makan in Malaysia, it's actually one of that big heritage part as well, and that big culture part, and the history in it, it's also massive. So I know what you mean from the entertainment point of view, to just watch someone eating, get it? But I think it's also a big front face of Malaysian culture. I know the cases that, you know, Opa knew how to make something, and there is a big panic, right? Like, will anyone be able to do it from the new generation? So it is the same problem, but I know what you mean from the sense that this is already covered. This is already happening, but maybe also there is a need to cover the food from that heritage point of view as well. Where does it come from? How many generations already preserving those recipes and so on, not just from the recommendations what to eat perspective.
I give you a strong hook. One thing the whole world gets wrong about Malaysian food is that it's not only about the flavors. It is about the meanings
and the story.
The food. And that's why the Malaysian breakfast became part of the intangible heritage of UNESCO, because this is not only about Nasi Lemak and Roti Canai. This is about people of 4 different races sitting together at one table and sharing food with each other. So Malaysian Chinese enjoying Nasi Lemak, Malay enjoying Roti Canai, and this is completely normal. And this, I think, is the message that makes Malaysians so proud about their food.
Yeah.
So when I just arrived to Malaysia, I kept on asking myself, why do they keep on talking about food?
Sudah makan?
Yes, I mean, that's like the most important topic throughout the day. And even when you're eating, you're talking about food. For the Western culture, you know, getting together is the time to discuss something intellectual or cultural, or maybe just the news and travel. But we don't talk about food while we're eating, like it's too much. But then I realized that the context of being so proud about food is about, look at how amazing we are in bonding and blending all the cultures into one, and how elegant the result is and how delicious this food is, because it's influenced by the Portuguese, by the Dutch, by the Chinese, by the Arabs, you know, by people of all walks of life. And they all came to Malaysia and all contributed to our food.
That is very true.
I feel this is the message that many foreigners are like missing out on, mostly focusing on the taste rather than, you know, the historical part. And then I really liked how Tengku Puan of Pahang said in one of the recent conferences on the maritime trade in Malaysia, Her Royal Highness said that if they say that they colonized us, I will agree, but we also colonized them through our spices. And I thought this is such a powerful message, because the whole world cannot survive now without the spices that originated from this area
Region, yeah.
and eventually spread all over the world. So when we talk about food, for me, mostly that's the historical interest of how culturally it became such a melting pot. And one more example about food that I would say is about Nasi Kandar. I feel sometimes I'm a Nasi Kandar, because what Nasi Kandar is basically Indian rice and side dishes that were introduced in Penang by the merchants that traveled from India to Malaysia. But the craziest thing is that when you travel to India, there is no Nasi Kandar there. So it's like, it's not Indian anymore, and it's not Malay anymore. It's like a pure invention of Indians in Malaysia. And I think it's beautiful, because the world starts to have more and more of people like that, like third world.
So it's Nonya in Malaysia as well, right? Nonya cuisine. Do you like the flavors of Malaysian food?
For sure, yes. It took me time to understand the palette of Malaysian food, because
it's bold.
It's very bold, and there is a misconception. Russian people or Russian-speaking people would always ask, is it spicy? Meaning, is there a lot of chili in it? But Malaysian food does not necessarily have to be spicy like a lot of chili. It's spicy in terms of bold flavors, which are also very, seem very strange to us. We are not used to that level of diversity in the food. So I would suggest that the first-time travelers would start with the Malaysian Chinese dishes, because they're more into the sweetness. The palate is more sweet rather than...
Really? I always thought Malay would be a bit more sweet. But yeah, it would be also more intense. So
right.
From
it's quite intense. Dumplings, they are very similar to Russian pelmeni.
Right.
Do you have those in
Pierogi.
And then the noodles are kind of similar to pasta.
Yeah,
that's relatable. Roti canai is relatable to the crepes or blini.
The pancakes.
The pancakes. So you start to find like some references that you wouldn't be very scared of. You know, then I feel like Nasi Lemak is an amazingly interesting dish. However, from the tourism perspective, I would say it's not the first choice to promote Malaysia through Nasi Lemak. I'm so sorry to say this, but please don't put Nasi Lemak on the front page of the brochures, because for Europeans, it's counterintuitive to eat rice with chili and egg in the morning.
It's a breakfast,
right?
Yeah.
And rice doesn't go with eggs unless you're in school canteen. At least in Europe. Right?
I mean, I've been here for so long that I think the Nasi Lemak just became a part of like a normal diet. So it's hard for me to now dig in from that fresh perspective. But yeah, I did hear that it takes time for them to get into Nasi Lemak or some of those flagship dishes for Malaysia as well. So I think it is a very complex cuisine, flavor packed in one dish, which definitely from our this part of the Euro perspective, what do we use? Pepper and salt.
Yeah.
Those are our spices. Yeah. And take the Malaysian
Oregano.
dish, which is, maybe in some. Yeah. But then in Malaysian dish, you have like 1,000 spices and flavors, which could be at first conflicting. Yeah. They work, but as a newbie to it, it's like, what is going on in my mouth right now? Yeah. Which flavor do I hang on to, right? As they are like all shouting for attention. If there is one thing you wish the world knew about Malaysia, what would it be?
My God, I ask this question to people every time.
Told you the tables will turn.
Yeah, I would tell them, if you are cultured enough and you are not coming here to destroy the nature, please come and experience the nature for Malaysia. I am saying this and I'm ready to cry, to be honest with you, because Malaysian nature it gives you so much peace and it is untouched. So please, if you have the patience, if you have the culture, come and experience this and you will fall in love with it forever. But if you're not there yet, if you're bringing all your trash with you, sorry. Don't come, okay?
Go Malaysia does not approve your visit.
No.
You talk to so many people and foreigners coming to Malaysia. What is the biggest stereotype you encounter that you would like to address?
I think
or confirm
the foreigners that already get in here, most of them are already kind of educated enough and tolerant enough so to be open-minded towards Malaysia. So the ones who live through the stereotypes, they don't end up coming here a lot. Maybe they go for easier choices as Thailand or Bali. At the same time, I was interested, so I went to Reddit and I tried to study what are the main questions people ask about Malaysia. And amazingly enough, the number one question is like, how bad are the bugs? This is something Malaysian tourism, I'm sure, is not thinking about when you're
the bugs.
Yeah, I mean, how bad is like the bugs? Are they biting? Like, are the are they poisonous? No, because you can get dengue, the mosquito fever. I had it once, by the way. I survived. So I have the Malaysian gene already inside me. This is what most of the foreigners that never been to Malaysia are concerned about. Dengue, malaria. There's no malaria in Malaysia. But most of the foreigners still think there might be. And this is something that is preventing them from coming here. Then dengue, that's a very big fear of many foreigners if you go through Reddit questions. And I'm sure that if those questions were properly answered, maybe by some scouts from the Ministry of Tourism, that dengue exists, but this is what you should do, or this is what we are doing.
How to prevent it.
I was, negligent. I didn't use the spray. So there are some of the entry barriers that we don't even think about, and we have to come back to the, foreign mentality.
Right.
To understand what people are
worried about. Put ourselves in their shoes. Okay, last rapid question. What's your wish for Malaysia?
My biggest wish for Malaysia is prosperity and unity. I really hope that Malaysians continue this beautiful tradition of berbelang kaum and that they never give up on trying to understand each other and to accept each other for who they are. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Ekaterina.
I love Malaysia.